Hey everyone, Dan here again with ProAudioSuperstore.com. We're at Studio 2100 in Springfield, Missouri, and today is part 2 in our series on drum recording. We're going to be focusing on trying to get the best sounds we can with just 4 or 5 microphones. Lots of interfaces these days are including 4 mic preamps and some line inputs, so we're going to try to get the best sound we can with that type of hardware. Let's get started.
For this setup, we're using an Apogee Ensemble for our interface, recording at 96 kHz into Studio One 2.5. We're also using the new PreSonus ADL 700 channel strip, which is connected to one of the line inputs on the Ensemble. Okay, so we've got our kit mic'd up now. We've got 2 mics on the overheads, a mic on the kick, and a mic on the snare. And later on, we'll be adding another room mic as well. On the kick drum, we're using a Sennheiser E602 with the mic pointed directly at the beater head to get a nice attack out of it. Also, play with the distance in which you place the mic within the drum, as that will play a huge role in the tone you get. The kick is going through the ADL 700 with the input impedance set at 150 ohms and carving out a bit at 240 Hz to get rid of some flub. On the snare, we're using the tried and true Shure SM57 dynamic mic. Really experiment with the placement of this mic. I tend to like a somewhat thick sound, so I generally place the mic pretty close to the head, within an inch or two, pointed towards the middle of the head for lots of body and a nice thick thwack. On the overheads, I'm using 2 AKG 414s, spaced out on either side of the kit. When setting up your overheads, be sure to always check their phase relationship with the other mics. Reposition them as many times as you have to, even if it's just an inch or two, to get everything phase coherent. All right, now let's take a listen and see what these tracks sound like with a little bit of processing. I'm using the solid-state Logic Duende Native plugins. I've got the SSL channel strip on all of the drums, as well as the drum bus and the bus compressor on the drum bus as well. On the snare, you can see here I'm taking a little bit, I've got the high-pass filter set at 115 Hz to get rid of the low end and the kick drum out of that mic. Cutting out a little bit of the 286 range, a little bit of mud out of the snare. And on the overheads, both overheads are set with a high pass at 100 Hertz. And I've got some compression on them to bring out the toms a bit. And then, of course, the bus compressor is set on the drum bus, which fills things out a little bit more. So let's take a listen and see what that sounds like. Now let's throw in a room mic to this setup. I like using ribbon mics for rooms because they naturally roll off some of the high-end wash from the cymbals and have a nice warm tone. This mic was positioned about 5 feet from the kit, pointed directly at the kick drum. Let's take a quick look at the room mic track. I'm going to show you a trick I like to use when processing and mixing a room mic. But first, let's take a quick listen to the room track by itself without any processing. So as you can see, the ribbon mic has a nice punchy warm sound with a nice roll-off on the high end. For rock and pop drums, I like to put a compressor on the track and really slam down on it hard to give it a huge distorted sound like this. You'll notice I'm using the stock compressor in Studio One. I'm also using the SSL channel strip on it as well, rolling off some of the extreme low end and carving out a little bit of the 300 to 400 range to get some of the muddiness out of it, and so it'll sound like this whenever it's processed. And so now I'm processing the rest of the tracks just pretty much the same way that I did on the previous set that you heard. And you want to blend this new room track in with the rest of the mics, like so. And this is what it sounds like.
Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned, because in part 3 in our series on recording drums, we're going to be miking up the kit in full studio fashion. So we're going to have 2 mics on the kick, 2 mics on the snare, tom mics, overheads, maybe a hi-hat, a room or 2, and we're going to do it upright. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.